Call meeting to order.
At 6:32.
Have the roll on. Everybody have a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
There needs to be a correction. Number 11A, it says August, it's September.
Okay. Okay, anything else on the agenda? Everything okay, the order? Anybody want to do anything about that, or we good?
Move approval of the agenda, not necessarily in that order.
Okay,
Second.
agenda has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Everybody's set for the November 19th for the next meeting.
Yep.
Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yep.
Discussion?
Move to approve.
Minutes have been moved,
Second.
moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the September minutes? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Citizen comments. Anybody? Jim? No? Scott? No? Okay, nobody else? What was your name? You want to say anything for the camera?
No.
No?
No.
Patty, he's here.
These are silent party.
Okay. Let's see, director's report.
Okay. Director's report is set. I did have a few charts in there this time. We could probably go to page one of the charts that I wanted to talk about first. Remember, what page was that one that you requested, Rich?
Well, we're at like 8 or 9, somewhere there, 7, 8, 9. 8, 9, oh, those aren't the charts.
Okay, we'll just keep going, we'll find them. Okay, it's going to be page 18. I did a 5-year showing what our circulation for print and audio was from September 2009 to September 2013. And this was something that Rich O'Connor had asked for. Any comments? Then what I did was, I broke down the circulation of these items by townships, by our municipalities, and this is the second one that I'm showing up here. I couldn't get them all in one chart though. But like town of St. Joe's in 2011 was 14,000, in 2013 it was 11,000. Yes, our surf is going down. So then what I did next was, I wanted to know what's happening with other libraries in the system. And that's the next chart, page 20.
I got a question for you, Linda. When you talk about children's audio and adult audio, you mean video? Am I getting confused?
The adults do not have video. The children's, there is some video in the collection. As it wears out, we toss it, but we don't buy new videos.
Where's the DVDs in this thing?
It mainly is the DVDs that I have.
So there are no, when you say no adult video, there's no, I mean, there would be DVD movies and,
The adult audio would be DVD.
That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, basically, audio is confusing for me because I think of audio, I think of an audio book.
right.
Something that you listen to when you're driving somewhere.
That's
or something.
included in that.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're realistic about this, we're basically talking about videos, aren't we? I mean, primarily. That's what I'm just trying to get, because audio doesn't, I don't think capture what we're renting out.
Maybe a better way of doing it then is just break it out, what's audio and what's video.
Well, if you
Well,
look.
That's not, I mean, that's
Yeah,
because.
you can unless
Because
it's
if
just-
what Linda is saying is that we don't have really adult DVD, then I presume the audio is equal, or,
If you go to page 10, or 9, excuse me, it'll show you that Hudson Books on CD, this is the adult part,
okay.
and that's our audio, is 4,100. Our DVDs are 2,700. And nonfiction DVDs is only 20. And our books on CD nonfiction are 3. But books on CD, the fiction ones, it's 4,000. And that's on page 9.
Page 10? Oh.
9. If you look at the larger numbers, because we have them in working on these. Okay? And that's telling you the circulation.
What is our policy? I think it begs the question when you say we really don't have adult video, we only have child video, so what is the rating? What
I lack space in the other building, and I need to find space.
What is the max rating that we will have in a library for a DVD? PG-13?
Where we do have some X-rated ones in the adult collection. The children's has to be, is it G or PE only? There are some children's ones that are downstairs that are rated PG-13, and then you don't put them in with the kids. You put it downstairs.
So, let's go back to, I'm gonna go back to this other chart though, on page 18. Okay, so I fully understand what we're talking about here. What is then adult audio?
Adult audio is books on CD, fiction and nonfiction. We have computer software, very little of it, as you can see. We have Hudson DVDs, fiction, Hudson DVD nonfiction, Hudson equipment, and those are the cameras.
Okay, so there are, so those are DVDs. Those DVDs are in that total. And then children's audio, DVDs are also in there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like, for example, these came back today, that a person, and these are very popular, it's Bill Nye, the science guy. This one's on volcanoes. This one was checked out, it's on ocean life. That's some of the stuff we have for the children.
Why do you think you saw a spike in 2011 after it coming back down?
Because we moved into a new building. We moved into a building. It went down because, for one thing, we never bought an opening day collection. A lot of the libraries do, and that keeps your circulation up. We brought our collection that we had, and as Rolf had said, it was an outdated collection. Pretty soon people figure it out. They know that they're looking at the same titles that we brought from the other building. We did an update. And there is less circulation throughout.
Oh, so
the
you saw a
system.
spike because people were coming in here and thought they were gonna get something better.
Mhm.
Right.
So you moved in,
Well, wait a minute.
and then it went up
Wait a
when you
minute.
first moved in.
And it will go up when you move into a new building.
And then it went back down.
I would think that that's speculation.
I don't know. I mean,
That-
she says there's some history to that. I don't know.
But I think we don't have anything definitive that would say that people came in here because they thought that there was gonna be newer content.
That's a pretty significant spike, though. I mean, I don't know.
I would say there's no doubt that there's curiosity, people coming to the library to see what, I would think that would be but again, that's speculation too. But it's coincidental speculation, you know.
Well,
I don't know if there's,
Be open and.
well, it sounded like Linda had heard that, that's a historical, that you said there's other libraries that have opened new libraries and seen the spike, and then it comes back down. So there's some history there? I
No,
don't know.
I hadn't said that.
Okay.
I said there's new libraries that maintain higher circulation, but they also, at the time of moving in,
They buy more videos.
they upgraded their collection.
Okay.
For example, this, let's say medical books probably were updated, They looked at overall circulation and the collection and added more up-to-date items where they saw the heaviest usage. You usually go through a vendor and they'll tell you what areas to purchase newer books and where they're heavily used.
Okay.
I
I think the drop is a little more concerning than in 2010 than the increase in 2011.
2010, we were closed for 6 weeks. You
But I-
also have to realize, we also are spending less and less money on these items. Our budget has been decreased for audio and print materials.
But at the same time, all right, I get that. And I think this is good. I like what you've done here, and this is pretty much what I was looking for. Maybe I'd like a different view on by communities. But, I mean, when you also look at, you're looking at other communities and their checkouts. They all appear to be dropping.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so
But
I don't know, and I don't know that we can speculate on this other than to say, I think it's reasonable to say that curiosity in a new building created more traffic in here. I don't think that would be in dispute. To say that, and I think this is open for discussion, obviously, but I think to say that because people found out that we didn't have new material, so they didn't just come here anymore, that seems to me to be a little contrary to what you were just saying about the DVDs and our movement into the direction of audio. It would seem to me that we're putting more effort, energy, money into audio, video, and yet we still see a decline in those areas as well.
What she said is a reduced budget, not an increase.
I understand that, but we're still bringing new stuff in every year.
you also need to realize, I think the market was hit a lot with Kindle ebooks or Kindle readers
Yeah.
in 2012, and that makes a big difference. We have a lot of elderly people that come in and we have to show them how to download onto a Kindle or an iPad. That has an impact on what you circulate that's in this collection in this building.
I would, it would be nice if we could see, if we could go back to, let's say 06, 07, and see what impact the recession had overall on library usage. I would suspect that you saw an increase in usage here as people weren't buying. They were probably coming here instead, but we don't have that information.
So we had 2 video stores in town too. So there's a lot that goes into that too. Yeah, 2 video stores that were operating
Right.
in 06, 07.
Yeah. All right, so, what can we glean from this? Are you done with?
Well, I just wanted to, on page 20, show that Hudson is not the only library that's seen a decrease in circulation, and let's not forget that there is the Kindles, the iPads, e-books, e-audio out there. That's downloadable right from home. We don't need to go to the library to get those items. I also gave you an additional one on the DVDs here, just so you know what's, you know, I hear so many times, why is a library purchasing DVDs? Why is a library, why are they trying to be a red box? Well, if we aren't, this Hudson Library doesn't compete with the other libraries, at least by furnishing these items. We'll either have individuals, and this is speculation, going to other libraries, or we're going to get more and more items in from other libraries, which is time consuming. You get them in, and we got to check them in and put them on a shelf for people. Where if we owned it, the people can take it from the shelf to the checkout. We
Well, that-
also have the
yeah.
same situation when they return items from other libraries. We have to put the slip in, put them in courier bins. When we have a Hudson item return, we just check it in, put it on the cart, and put it away. There is a lot of work with courier items, and if we aren't going to supply the public with these different items, we're just gonna have more work because they're just gonna order it from other libraries.
Well, I mean, that to me falls back into the discussion of what's the purpose of the library. So until we have that discussion and figure out what is the purpose of the library, I mean, it's, when you're talking about trying to maintain circulation by providing things that people want, well, of course they want to quote free video, but it's not free. It's, I don't know what the actual cost is, but there is a cost to that. But, you know, seems like we get into this situation where we're justifying the purchase of items that people are looking for. But what we ought to be talking about, in my opinion, is what's the purpose of the library? Rather than what, then, because, you know, if people are looking for free videos, you know, we could increase our budget and get all sorts of new stuff in here. We can't do that because of budgetary constraints. So, but it's a function of what's the purpose of the library. I'm not so much, personally, I'm not so much into justifying by looking at all these figures that the library exists. Or that there's justification that we, you know, we have all this use, as much as I'm more concerned about, you know, personally, what is the purpose? I mean, I think until we define that as a board, then all these other figures are, I mean, they're nice, but
Well,
I'm not sure what they mean.
Don't you think though that, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, and that's why I asked for this. Because I think it's important to see what's happening with the usage here. And, I mean, nothing is up, okay? There's nothing up here. We need to look at the information that we have with how the library is being used and determine where we're going in the future. You know that back in 1900, they didn't have computers. You know, we've got computers in the library now. So what does that mean? We let people come in and access the internet and saves them money on Comcast and everything else. It's just part of what we offer. I would suggest that usage probably is down as well. It's hard to say what people are here for. What's our purpose? What do they want? Maybe, and I don't have a problem with DVDs, and even the usage of the DVDs is done. Okay? It's multimedia, and I think that we are in the business of multimedia. But what direction we should head, that's up for grabs. Okay? And I would like to get ahead of the curve on that. I don't want to try to play catch up. I want to leapfrog. I want to get into the next generation. I don't want to try catching up. And as you can see, do you know, Linda, do they rent DVDs in these other library systems?
No, we're the only one.
We're the only one?
They're always asking, how's it going?
Okay, I mean, they're struggling too. I mean, if they're looking at these numbers, they're realizing that their utilization is down just as much as anybody else's.
Well, we have to, but again, I put it into two different categories. The library offers education and entertainment. I mean, basically, that's what we're talking about.
And
So I think as a board, we need to figure out what.
in research, I put research in there.
Well, some research, I mean, I own a business and to be honest with you, I don't use the library for research.
No, I didn't lie, but I know that we've got periodicals and things here that people are using for research, online subscriptions that people are using for research. So I would say there are three categories here. People look for background for things that they can't find on Google or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, Linda knows more about, I mean, I'm thinking that the research is a small part of what we do. It's primarily entertainment and education, are
Well,
the two segments.
I do have a problem when you say it's entertainment. There are people that have disabilities where they do need to have audio formats.
I'm talking, but Linda, I'm talking primarily, that would be education, I'm talking primarily videos.
But they would
But
watch video, would a video by this one, is that educational or is that entertainment?
Yeah, but you know,
You know, I have a
I don't wanna
problem
get
when.
in, I mean, I don't wanna get in an argument with you, because we go down to the desk and watch what people check out all day
But
long.
I think,
You know,
I
we
think
see
she's
it.
making a good point, though. I mean,
Yeah.
when you said entertainment, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think, you know, I think Huckleberry Finn is entertainment. I don't view that as education. That's entertainment. So,
And that
so
is
print
considered a
material
classic.
is entertainment as well. Agree?
For it,
Print material is entertainment as well.
sure,
Okay.
it could be, yeah, fiction, sure. Yeah, but I'm just saying, there's a couple different categories we have going here,
Yeah.
and we should try to figure out what's the purpose, again, of the library. You know, because 30 years ago, there was a lot of research going on in the library. I can remember 25 years ago, when we lived in Chicago, there was a huge library in Schaumburg, in a neighboring suburb. We went there all the time for research and to check out books, you know, for the kids. So
Okay.
it's not necessarily the case now.
Okay,
Okay,
so, we need to move on, I don't wanna get bogged down on this, but I think the information that we've got here that Linda has provided us is informative. You think? I mean, we can dig down into this a little bit farther as well. But suffice to say, I think it's important that we recognize that we're not alone. That even other libraries that are better funded, much better funded than we are suffering from the same decline in utilization. Is that reasonable to say?
Looks like a trend. I
Okay,
think
so,
that's
and I'm
good.
with you, so we need to try to figure out what we're here for.
But I think when Kurt's talking about defining, you know, or establishing what our purpose is, I think it's more important for us to not look at defining our purpose for our existence by looking too far back. I think we need to try to forecast forward as far as we can to try to determine, you know, what's the purpose and function of a quote library, unquote, you know, as we look on down the road. I mean, obviously we have the present we have to deal with, but our whole future depends on tomorrow, not so much yesterday.
Yeah. I would agree. Anything else? Linda, you got anything else on this? Anything other?
Well,
I have to believe the joint library agreement defined the purpose of the municipalities funding this organization. I mean, if you read the joint library agreement, they have a purpose for funding it. They just didn't give us money and say we'll spend it. The joint library agreement specifically had a purpose for this library, and I think it's defined if you read the joint library agreement. How we achieve that is a different story, but I think there's a definition.
I do have on number 2 here, and I think it's a good point. A library is an information provider and should offer information to many different formats to accommodate the old, the young, the homeschooled, the disabled, the gifted, and those with visual and other handicaps. Someone has to be out there for this population in society.
And where did that come from?
I think I got it from ALA, American Library Association. I do have attached to this the rentals, and I didn't put this, and they do have the Septembers on there, if you are so inclined to look at it. Also, this is from the Milwaukee Journal. It shows where they have a express vending library. Maybe that's where we should be going. Rich is the one that forwarded it to me.
24-hour vending?
Yep.
I think that's a decision the library director should make and make a recommendation on. You know, if that's where you think as a library director we should go, you should come back and make recommendations to the board.
We wouldn't even have the money for it.
Well, then why are we
There's no
talking-
sense
Okay,
even-
then why are we talking about it? If you don't
I'm
have money,
just,
we shouldn't even be
because
talking about it.
it's something, we were just talking about library trends. This is the trend in some libraries. That's why we did the 5-year circulation, you know,
Okay.
it was trends. And this is a trend, and as board members, I felt you should be aware of it. Okay? Any other questions? Because, you know, and I can't express enough to say, when you're traveling, stop at other libraries. See what they're doing. I do it all the time.
All right, Linda, what do you got next? Policies for webpage and social media?
I'll have Ally talk about that.
Alright, I passed out a sheet, and this was just printed out today about Facebook statistics. One reason why we have social media is to get feedback from the community. Looking over different policies that other libraries have, the ALA, what they have written for their social media networking.
You get one that's, I have the black and white of this thing.
Yeah, it's the same one. It might be a
Well,
little
it's hard to
harder
read,
see
it's
the
hard to tell what's
graphics here.
going on with it.
But basically,
Good luck with it.
for our website, the way we get feedback on who's visiting that is through Google Analytics. And then for Facebook, we have a spreadsheet that comes out like this that shows how many people are visiting, whether they're male or female, the age range, which is also helpful because we don't get that from a gate count. So we can kind of get feedback from the community as to what programs are popular, what people would like to see. They can leave comments that are positive about programs or, you know, maybe something that they didn't like. And that's helpful to us because we can change according to that. It helps us find our target market, who's out there using the library and how can we, you know, improve our programs to meet those needs. So I'm kind of piecing together a policy because there's a lot of little things that have to go into it, and I'd like to be as precise as possible. And Matthew, who wrote a technology plan for us, and that has to be approved by the board. And I wrote a public relations plan that also has to be approved, but I think social networking would kind of fit under those two. One, because it's another way to do marketing to the public. Secondly, because it fits under that category of technology. How are people using, you know, the services that we provide under social media? So the mission of the library is to provide a community gathering place where knowledge flows freely, nurturing lifelong learning. And this policy reflects the library's mission statement. It's a guideline for the library community that corresponds through social media outlets using technology. The library uses social media to open lines of communication with the public to gather feedback regarding services, events, and programs. So there's a lot of, I guess the definition of social networks would be websites or software applications used to share information. And so far, we have a website. We had a blog running through it, but that's no longer up. Also, we use a Facebook. Had Hudson patch for a little bit. And I'm kind of piecing things together through Flickr, which is another social media account used to exchange pictures or things of interest. Libraries also use Pinterest for book clubs, take pictures of books and have discussions on that. So it is a useful tool to do marketing and approach the community and get people talking and to receive information about what people want and why they're interested in the library. So definitely kind of relates to our topic on, you know, why does this library exist in this community and who's using it. So there's a lot of different things in there that I have to look into. One of them being, you know, what's the policy on web links, and there's a whole list of things that go into that. So kind of looking that over, being careful on the content of what we include in social media. We need to include disclaimers about what we express as a staff on these pages, including privacy disclosures of information, making sure we're not violating copyright laws, and just assuring that our staff is handling, you know, whatever content they put out there in a professional manner. So there's a lot of different things I have to tweak and make sure I'm covering everything. But I think mainly social media, a lot of people use it now, and that's a way to connect to the community and find out what people's needs are. So, any questions on that?
Did you want something from us?
Well, I think
Yes.
any
What do you
comments
want-
about
What do you want from us?
Well, what I would
And
like
yeah,
is,
if anybody feels like it's not necessary to have social media, if they have concerns about it being used.
I do.
Okay.
Social media is something that's been in corporations, like where my wife works. I mean, that's a big deal, social media, because people are out there saying things in a public forum that wasn't there before. And they're being closely watched and
Are you
monitored.
asking the board then to say, yes, we want social media, or no, we don't want social media? Is that what you're asking?
I'm
We
asking,
create a plan for that.
or a policy, I need a policy in order, if people complain, why aren't you keeping my comments on the website? I need a policy that.
So that's a
stands
draft.
out.
Well, here's what, here,
Are you
let me
asking
give you
the
some
board-
background. She sent me an email, let me just give you background. Linda sent me an email asking for a policy on social media, okay? And that the policy committee should meet, right, Dan? We got the email saying we should develop a policy for social media.
Okay.
My comment back is, I would prefer you bring it to the board to see if we should have social media, period. Whether there's a purpose for that, whether there's, I mean, we're just creating work,
So,
and
so the question before the board is, do we want social media?
that should be the question, that was the question I was asking for, not that we
That's
should, we're doing this and we need policy. My point was, we need to figure out as a board whether we want to do that, and create this extra element to the library that may or may not mean anything.
And that's the reason why I passed this, this chart showing that, you know, our social media pages are being used, and it does collect information for us that is useful on what we purchase, what programs we offer, and how to, I guess, to change things that aren't working, and it's kind of helpful for that. Not to
But we
mention
have but we have the issue of people making comments that have to be monitored. I mean, it's a lot like what we're talking about, is something like Patch, or the Hudson Star Observer, where people go out and make comments or this and that. Who is gonna 24-hour monitor that? Who is taking responsibility for slander of individuals, or the, you know, everything can happen if you look at Facebook, you know, or look at any of the social media, Twitter or whatever. I don't participate in any of it, but you know, it's something that's a big deal for companies right now.
Yeah.
That not
organizations
monitoring
do
it,
have that.
policies and everything. So it's not as easy as just opening up a Facebook page or starting a Twitter account. I mean, for the library, it's a public entity, there's a lot that goes into that, I think. That's why thought that the board should make a decision. Yes, we want to go ahead and do things like that, or no, it really doesn't impact the library one way or the other, and it creates busy work that is unnecessary, especially in light of the fact that we have a budget that is
Broken.
way underwater.
All
Well,
right,
social
so
media doesn't have a cost to it.
here's,
And right now, we do have different staff looking after each social media. We have a person that looks after the web and that content, and when we had a blog running, there's a person that would review that or any comments.
Well, it has a cost associated with it, it has a personnel cost associated with
the
it.
time that's spent.
The time that's spent to be doing something good.
Here's what I would like to do, and I guess I would entertain a motion if anybody would agree here, but I think that we just don't have enough information here. We're not gonna have enough information tonight, we're not gonna have enough time. Even if we did have the people that could bring us the information that we would need. So I would like to see this referred to the policy committee and have them look at the parameters of social media, whether it's viable, what we would use it for, if it fits in where we think we're headed in the future. All of those things, I think that we've got a great committee that can work on that.
I suppose we could do that,
So I
it
would
doesn't
like
really
to
fall in the
entertain-
parameters of policy committee, I mean,
Of
because what
course
you're,
it does.
well, not really, because what you're trying to be determined is whether or not we're gonna have it, not what the policy should be for social media. What you're saying is we need to determine whether or not we can have it. We can look at that if you want the policy committee to do.
No, we don't have enough time to even debate that, to even
Well,
discuss it.
I think we already are using social media. I mean, it's already out there. We're using Facebook. So I think some of it, I think if we can define which ones we're gonna use and then establish a policy for those. We don't need, personally, I don't think we need to use, 1,700 social media sites. But if we can define, we're gonna use Facebook, we're gonna use Twitter, you know, a couple of them, and then decide how we're gonna manage and who's gonna use them. I think that could fall under the policy committee, and they can do some recommendations.
Well, it shows here that, you know, we have 400 fans, and these are the people that just like us, not representing the people that would visit the site for information. So a lot of people are using it, so there is a purpose, you know, it's helpful to us.
When you click a button and say you like the Hudson Library, I mean, I don't know.
Well, people are also leaving comments too that are helpful to figure out what we're doing right and wrong, so.
Some of it's how much we put out there, because if you like a page and then the library keeps posting about, you know, kids club or a puppet show or a new book, you know, they get notice of all that, so you really don't know how much they're actually.
Well, mostly by
Seeing it,
comments that people are
but just
leaving,
by
and
comments.
that's what we use a lot.
So you could have 400 likes, but you could have, you know, 1,200 people looking at her.
We're going to refer to the policy committee for recommendations. I'd like to.
Bring this around to every one of the charters of the committees state they take direction from the board, period. I think I agree with Kurt's point that you know, those directions should come from this board, or I agree with you, Rich, that you know, the board should discuss whether we want the policy committee to look into using social media, and it ends there. I think it's as simple as that, you know, and that should be the should I say, for lack of a better word, instigator for any activity where the committee stakes out.
I think it would behoove the board and the library to maybe not start to engage in more social media until we've done something there.
Until we have like a policy.
Until we have some kind of an idea of what
And that probably does come under their auspices, is to, you know, do the research of what's out there, what we
Yeah,
can gain from
that's
social
fine.
media.
So, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, let's move it to the policy board and let's look into it.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to move the issue of social media to the policy and personnel committee. Further discussion?
For research.
The only point I would bring up here is that your comment with respect to some direction, you know, being on that committee, I think just referring it to the policy committee doesn't necessarily give us the direction that we might need here to come up with policy guidelines. This is not a simple matter. Since I received, your email, I've taken a look at, website policy and guidelines from a number of different places. I just happened to bring with me, one from, this happens to be Weber State University. I have another from Temple. I'm looking at, I have some from a couple of public libraries that I've looked at. And these aren't just, a couple of paragraphs. This is pretty in-depth and complicated stuff, largely because when you get to the end, one of the things we talk about is security and permissions. And that's a big topic. But, you gotta go through purpose, you gotta look at, if you're gonna create a sort of an advisory group or oversight group that's gonna continually take a look at the site, see how it's being used and how the library would respond. The rights and responsibilities that people have using it, that we have in supporting it, maintenance of the, of web pages, and there is a cost, to maintaining those pages. The page guidelines, and what we're gonna, kind of guidelines we're gonna follow with each one of those particular categories. So if you're expecting us to whip something up here in the next, couple months, why?
Begin the research if there's been.
Well, let's be specific, because, we're not, I'm not into sitting in the committee for hours developing policy for something that we may or may not do. So the first goal is to figure out whether or not we want that, whether or not to develop policies for it, but whether or not we want it. And that's why I said bring it to the full board, to the full board to consider whether or not we want it.
This is too big of an issue for this full board to be discussing unless you want to spend a Saturday to do it. We're not going to do it in a regular monthly meeting. We just don't have the time. But I would say, given what I just heard, that's the best place for it. He's already got a good handle on the issues and what needs to be discussed, and I'm sure there's more to it. I don't know that I heard anybody say that we need to refer, that we need policies to come out of this committee.
No.
I think we need to explore every angle on social media and allow that committee to do its work and make its recommendations to us about parameters, if we're gonna use them, suggestion if we are gonna use them, and here's what, how they should be used, and then we can have a discussion at the board level.
And they, you can go back and say, you don't recommend it. I mean, that could.
Yeah,
that could actually-
exactly.
Before you even get into making policies, I think you have the right to come back and say, just based on all of the things involved in it, we don't have the capability as a library to maintain these things, so we recommend not getting into it.
Right, and then we
I'm
debate.
I'm okay with that.
Okay?
And-
Are we good?
And utilize,
Ally, yeah.
utilize Ally, you know, she's got a lot of
Yep.
experience in that, you
Yeah,
know.
I've covered all that
You can
information
count
that
on
you're
that.
talking about.
Okay, we
It'd be
good?
nice to get help, I guess.
Ready for a vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of sending this to policy committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails. Thank you, Dan. Linda? Oh, boy, do you have anything that's not controversial here?
Okay, sorry.
I'm just
Just
trying
because
to
we
be-
talk about it.
No, here we go, the Affordable Care Act, that should be pretty simple.
I attended the county meeting on the Affordable Care Act. I included in here, which we finally received, contacts where we can send people.
Something that's not controversial, that's good. Obamacare, okay.
But all we need to worry about is where to send people. We do not advise them on what policy they have. We can put them on a computer and we can show them where to sign up, but we cannot advise. But at the last meeting I attended with the county, they didn't even have this ready, and in between this, I did receive this, where these are in-person assistance with marketplace applications and enrollment, and that's what we will be giving the public, okay?
Okay.
No, maybe.
And then what's next?
That was the easiest one.
Transferring funds to postage and office supplies.
Oh dear, I guess I need to talk to, given what the finance committee brought up, I guess I need to discuss that with them, with Neil. The Bridge the Gap Fund, I gave you an update on it. Let's see if I can get this increased. So right now we're at 20,877 that was donated. I've had 249 donors. And if you take postage out and printing out, it comes to a clearing of $16,332. I do have the difference, oh sure, let's go too fast here, Linda. I do have it broken down by municipalities for you, okay? Any questions on that? It's in that packet.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
no action needed there?
No, it was just to
Okay.
give you, and then, you know, we have seen some of this stuff already where we did the trims. So if you have
Okay.
any questions on that,
Nope.
contact me, okay?
Review the bridge again.
Yep, I'm done.
Hmm.
Friends.
Anybody here from the Friends? Jim, are you with, yes?
I guess I'm the
Welcome.
only one, but that's okay, no big deal. First of all, I want to say thank you to Linda, because she was in charge of doing the celebration for the appreciation of the Friends last meeting, which you saw too. Number two, when she's talking about all of that equipment down there, somebody has to help a lot of people. And if you haven't noticed, there is an increase in Hudson of senior population. And we don't have all of those cute little tools that you have. So we need somebody like her or someone else to help. And that's why, that's the purpose of the library, is to be here for everybody, not just the 20-year-olds. And this really excites me. You know that we have this program with Family Fresh. When they bring us, everybody brings in their receipts from shopping, and when we reach that certain target goal, turn them in over there, and they give us a check for $1,000. And we also collect their barcode things. So we get a specific number, and I don't know that one for sure, because I don't handle that. But then we turn those in and we get some more money. We, right now, at the Friends, have $147,000 worth of receipts. We only need to get to that 150, and we're gonna make it before the end of this year. And we will receive another one of their checks.
That's awesome.
This is, to me, it's incredible. And would you please, please, please take time to look at Ally's display downstairs? She did a recap of all of the things that the Friends do within our organization. And the only thing, I just want to say, paid people come in because they have to. Volunteers come in because they want to. And we've got one heck of a record down there. And it just, I get very excited about this place, you know. We're gonna keep going, and the purpose of this library someday is gonna have a bumper sticker. Meet me at the library, see you at the library. I don't care what it says, but we're going to be a focal point. We're not going anywhere. And if you can get more open days, because closed days, we don't earn any money. The truck doesn't move, no money comes into the driver. And you got the same thing here. We've got to keep open more. And I don't know how you do it. Last meeting, I told you we have a lot of qualified people that are volunteers, that would volunteer their talent to help. And I don't care what it is. Me, I don't care what, if it's something that I could do, I will do it. And I know I've nagged Linda all the time about that, and she knows that she can call me if she needs something. I just want this library where it is. We have a beautiful building, beautiful site, and they're talking about an industrial building over here to put in businesses over in North Lake's little warehouse building down the street, which means we're going to have more traffic here. And if we get that parking ramp over here on the corner, we're going to have more traffic because of that. So we have two places where there's potential coming in here. So please, when you're looking, keep that in mind. And listen, if you don't like the library, you don't want it, don't be on the board. Take a walk, we'll get somebody else. But you have got to want about half as much as I do. But I wanted 2,000%, so what can I say? That's all.
All right.
Anytime, you know,
Yeah.
I'll see you next month.
Okay, thanks.
No, I'm not kidding. You gotta believe what she tells you with all of those numbers and things. And you look at that room full of equipment down there, somebody has to help a lot of people. Ally is doing help too now with,
Tech
I
help?
forget what the project was. You were gonna help people with somebody on an appointment basis.
Oh, that's tech help.
Tech help,
Technology.
see?
Yep.
And where do they go?
Mostly seniors
the
that want to learn how
library.
to download
You come,
ebooks.
you know, you're not gonna go over to Walmart and get it. That's all. Listen, have a good evening. I just, you know, whatever I can do, come and get me.
I have an additional.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. I have an additional comment. Ally was the one that really put all the time and effort into the celebration for the Friends.
Well, thank
She
you,
did a
thank you,
very
Ally.
good job.
Thanks,
It was a
Ellie.
lot of fun.
Oh, if you don't have a library card, I've got applications up here, and if you'd fill it out, I'll go and get the cards for you while you're finishing your meeting. If you need, if anybody needs a card.
And stop using your voice.
Who should look at that?
All right, I guess I'm off. We've got a few things I want to report on, and I see this in a couple different places on the agenda, but the good news is that good news for us, I guess. The municipalities now are all in agreement on the payments to the other libraries. And so that will help our budget. Obviously, it's going to impact other libraries' budgets. But I think it's a good move. It's a step in the right direction. It's going to help us. The one thing that I would say relative to that is we need to try to get this library back open on Mondays, because by being closed on Mondays, we're actually increasing the amount of money that we would otherwise owe the libraries that we're not now going to pay. So in order to reduce the burden on them, it would behoove us to try to get us back open on Mondays. I think that would be in my mind, I think that should be our number one goal, is to try to get the hours back up here. Again, relative to that, I'll reference that in a moment. The other good news is that there's a movement among the municipalities to provide additional funding to the library. The city of Hudson, according to the mayor, Rich, you can weigh in on this if you'd like, is making a proposal that the city increase its funding by 5%, and he has asked the other communities, municipalities, to do the same. And from what I understand, there's an appetite to do that to some extent anyway, if not the full 5%, to make some type of increase in the monies that are coming in from each of the municipalities. Comments, Dave or Rich?
Yeah, the city's looking at a $14,000 additional payment to the library, which is a 5%. And I think if all the municipalities go ahead with this, it'll amount to about $34,000.
Right, and then
39,000, well, that's in the budget already, not paying the other libraries is already in the budget.
Right. Anything, Dave?
Our budget we haven't passed our final budget yet, but it's in the budget, 5%.
Okay.
We're talking about the 9,000 from the town of Hudson.
Well, keep our fingers crossed. That would be nice if the municipalities were able to do that. I know that they're working hard to try to free money up to help us, but they all, they certainly all have other needs.
You talked to North Hudson, or?
Have I?
No.
No.
Just curious.
North Hudson is being talked to.
We are?
For virtual.
That's actually in your auspices as well, to speak to Stan.
I did speak to Stan,
Okay,
that's why I was
great.
curious.
Well,
I did advocate for more money.
Yeah,
Uh,
others are talking to Stan.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the increase, that type of an increase, we didn't talk about. And he had said there was some other costs that they didn't anticipate.
Sure.
He didn't know what was gonna happen. So this is the first time I've heard of the 5% increase in funding, so.
Well, the mayor, I know, is making a pitch to the other
So if
municipalities
they
for
can figure that
5.
out. Yeah.
So, and you know what? I think we all fully understand the constraints that each of the municipalities is under, and anything that they can do is going to be very welcome. I had an opportunity to...
To ask a question?
Sure.
Or maybe it's a question for next month. What would it cost us to open up a day?
Actually, we have that.
I believe it was 3,000
Yeah, it's not that much.
3,000,
a day.
A day?
huh?
Wait, no.
No.
No,
What?
for,
Education,
To open
I'd like
back
to
up
apply
on
for a job.
Mondays, what would it
I
cost
have
us
to
for
look.
a year?
we have it, but I don't.
Yeah, we have it. We
Okay.
were ready for it a while ago.
I'd like to know
Neil
what that is next.
did the
next
numbers
month.
for us.
I'd like
So
to
we
know
do.
what that number is.
Okay.
next month.
Actually, if you could email that out to everybody, Linda, that'd be great. Okay, so we have something that everybody's got a point of reference on that. Good question, though. I had an opportunity to meet with the foundation the other night, Library Foundation, and they were asking about where we're at, what's happening with the library and with the board, and asked what it is they could do to help out. So I,
It's almost funny.
again, made the pitch that they change their mission statement so that they can fundraise for operations, and ask them specifically if they could, to start out, raise money to keep us open on Mondays. Give them an opportunity to have at least an objective with their, if they decide to fundraise. I haven't heard what the outcome of that was, and if they had actually had an outcome that night, or if they're still discussing it. But I did have a chance to get in and make that pitch. I will be going into the Friends. I stopped in briefly to say hi, because the other meeting was going on at the same time. And I'll be stopping in with them next month to talk with them and thank them for the help that they provided us, and make the pitch to provide us continued support. The thing that we're seeing here, the Library Leadership Communication Forum, Susie Gilbert had suggested that we try to get the foundation, the Friends of, and at least one former, the most recent former president or head of their organization, as well as this group here, Barb and me, to sit down and talk about the direction of the library, and what each of, what we can do collectively, and what each group can do individually to try to get us where we need to be. So that's a discussion that's coming up on November 21st, I think is the date. I think that's it for me. Any questions?
What question I got for you is it's a budgetary question. I don't know if this is the right place to ask it, or if I should ask it when the finance committee comes up. I don't know. Because I continue to look at, I understand we're locked into the lease with the city. I get that part. The part that still I try to wrap my mind around is the healthcare cost for the library. It's significant. And and again, if I'm talking out of turn or whatever, let me know, but I'm just trying to figure out if we should address that. I mean, I was given that budget, didn't have time to really look at it, and I was like, holy smokes, we got that much money. I mean, the reason why I bring this up is because every company, and my wife's company is no different, is having to meet and talk about what's going to happen with regard to Obamacare, and with regard to, and a lot of cases, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of cases, what people are seeing is an increase in deductibles, a decrease in contributions to health savings accounts. That's what we're going to see, a cutback in contribution from the employer to the health savings account. We fully see that coming. Personally, we have high deductibles already. I don't know how much higher they could go, but what I'm hearing is a $8,000 deductible for individuals, 12 for families. These are some of the things that I'm hearing. I don't know if that's the case with Obamacare, but I'm trying to understand how that impacts, if it's impacting private sector people, why it's not impacting those that work for the government. How do we?
Well, you know what, and finance is
Can you
up
do-
next, so.
You can discuss
I'd
it.
like to address it, but as point of order, we can't discuss it, it's not on the agenda. So according to the rules.
Well,
of
that's
order-
why I was asking.
According to the rules of order, we really can't talk about it. I mean, that's just how open meeting rules are.
And I'm fine with that. I have it on I have it as a request for the next
Yeah,
agenda.
Okay.
but I will
So-
say we have talked about it in finance. But according to the meeting.
No, I'm okay with that. That's why I asked if I was out of order, talking about it. And I'm okay with not talking about it tonight. When we get down to the bottom here, I'm gonna ask that we talk about it next time.
Okay.
Because the only reason why I say it is because it's a huge, it's a significant part of our budget. And if we can combine with what you're talking about, increases from the municipalities with some other savings, we may not have a deficit that we're talking about.
We're under some laws that guide us into what we can do and what we can't do.
Okay, well, we can discuss that at the next meeting.
Okay. Rich, finance.
And Finance Committee reviewed revenues and expenditures for September, and we did not see anything that was extraordinary or abnormal, and therefore we make a recommendation to approve the September expenditures.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Excellent, further discussion? Approval of the expenditures has been moved and seconded. All is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails.
On year-to-date, the only thing we saw was they had moved some money around in some of the accounts, and as a result of that, the deficit was $74,000 from $50-some thousand, and it's just a matter of an accounting error or whatever Neil did. He moved stuff from one side to the other side, and he shouldn't have been fooling around with some stuff. Or whatever he did, he didn't do it right, so Linda is going to go back and talk to him, so it gets back to where it should be. But if you do look at it, you're gonna see this deficit has been increased to $74,000, and that's just it's a bookwork error. It's just a matter of they moved stuff and didn't change it right.
Okay.
They had it one place, didn't take it out of the other place, and they didn't balance it out.
So it should back to
It should be back, it should not be 74 based on what we saw. So Linda's gonna talk to Neil about it, try and get it straightened out.
Okay,
So that will be taken care of. Other than that, we don't have anything else.
that's it. Nice. Nice report, thank you. Ben?
Policy personnel.
Yes, unless you had something else. you
No.
wanted to talk
We, well, we think here, I don't know, once upon a time. We have not met, and we will, based on the request of the board, for a look-see into the webpage
Social
policy,
media.
those component parts. So look forward to a report in the near future from policy and personnel.
Okay. Questions? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, no action yet on item 13, the consideration of formation of a new library foundation, waiting to see what the outcome is of the discussion I had with them. The ad hoc committee has not had a chance to meet again with Barb out of town, so we will put that on hold. And board comments and items for future agendas?
Healthcare.
Healthcare?
Yeah, I think we need to address it.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Ally, any recommendations? Okay. It's pretty early. Is there anything you guys want to argue about for long?
Are we moving 14 to next month?
Yes. Now, when Barb has a chance to.
What is it now that we're changing? What were you
Changing
changing?
to ad hoc?
Nothing's changed. We just no report from the ad hoc committee.
Oh, that's what you're-
Barb has been out of town.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.